Hi guys, hope you all doing well. Welcome back to our channel, and in this video I'm going to talk about device configuration policies for Windows as a platform, and the settings that we are going to discuss will be administrative templates. In a nutshell, the purpose of administrative templates is to get the same settings deployed which you were deploying with the help of group policy objects for your domain joined machines. Now, if you're watching the series from the beginning, in the last video, we have discussed about a comparison between the device object that gets created in Azure AD compared to the device object that gets listed on Endpoint Manager portal, which is endpoint.microsoft.com. What is the purpose behind these two different device identities, how they are related, and what are the functions behind it? Whereas the core agenda of this video will be knowing what is device configuration policy, what is the purpose behind creating device configuration policies, how you can combine multiple setting in a profile which should be scoped for a specific type of devices, how exactly admin templates work. Now, since admin template is a kind of feature which can help you to achieve the same task which you were doing with group policy object, likewise deploying settings and features. So that's the reason there is an option on Endpoint Manager portal itself which can help you analyze how many settings of your on-prem GPU are available on Endpoint Manager portal to be deployed. Okay, so there is a comparison which you can do because all the settings which you can do from group policy objects are not available with admin templates. Admin template is a kind of feature which is still getting matured. Okay, now once you have scoped multiple admin templates, or let's say profiles, how you should go ahead and monitor them, how you should verify whether a specific profile is applied to a specific device or not. Okay, and lastly, we'll talk about the troubleshooting part, wherein you can refer to some event logs on the device itself just to confirm whether the appropriate setting has reached that device or not. Okay, so if we talk about the traditional method wherein we were getting the machines joined to Active Directory and the group policy objects were getting deployed, this step of deploying admin template can be your first step in terms of planning a cloud only environment. Now, what do I mean by this? That consider a scenario wherein you can get your machines joined to Azure AD so that any user that exists in Azure AD can log into that device. And then depending upon that particular user, you can have administrative template policies created. The same approach that we were doing with group policy objects as well, right? So if you can have same sort of configuration available from a cloud native technologies like Azure AD and Microsoft Intune, then why not planning something like cloud only environment? So you can actually evaluate how reliable both of the environments are when it comes to comparing the Azure AD capabilities combined with Microsoft Intune in terms of getting it compared with the capabilities that you were only getting with your domain joined machine and the respective GPU getting deployed. Okay, this could be your first step towards planning for your cloud only environment. So if I talk about the process which happens when a device is getting joined to Azure Active Directory or it is getting enrolled in Intune. The first set of policy which is applied would obviously be device enrollment policies. Now, once a specific device is enrolled in Intune, the next set of policies which are applied or which are checked are device compliance policies. Okay, now device compliance state has nothing to do with device configuration policy. Now, what do I mean by this? That let's say even if your device is not compliant, still, if you have any device configuration policies defined, those settings will be applied on this particular device altogether. So let's say after checking some of the device compliance policies, this device is not compliant, or let's say this device is compliant. The third stage is the stage wherein device configuration policies get deployed to a specific device altogether. And as I've said before, the purpose of device configuration policies are to implement some settings or features or the same kind of configuration that you were doing with your on-prem environment. But when it comes to device configuration policy from Endpoint Manager, the scope has extended like anything. Just to give an example, you can have BitLocker deployed through device configuration policies. You can have Windows Hello for Business deployed with the custom CSP policies. You can have MDATP settings deployed. You can have email profile configured. And the one which we are going to talk about is the GPO settings itself. That means you can have admin templates in place that will get deployed on a specific device and which will help you to get a specific setting or feature deployed on a device altogether. Okay. Now, since we know that admin templates are not as mature as group policy objects, similarly, there is a recommendation from the client side as well, and that is to get the best experience, make sure you are using Windows 1903 or above. Okay. So if I talk about a typical workflow of what exactly happens in a nutshell, the device gets Azure AD joined or onboarded to Azure AD. From there, it gets onboarded to Intune. Then device compliance is checked. If you have any device compliance policy scoped for the same device or user, and then all the settings that you have deployed through device configuration policy, they will get deployed on that particular device altogether. Okay, so this is a typical workflow in terms of knowing how device configuration policies work. In a nutshell, device configuration policies is defined to configure certain settings or features on a specific version of device. We will be targeting Windows 10, and in this particular demo, we are going to talk about deploying admin templates, which are going to enable certain settings that we were doing with group policy objects altogether. Okay, so now I'm going to switch to my browser where I have signed in as global admin. And as of now, I am on endpoint.microsoft.com, which is the endpoint manager portal. Now, to create device configuration profile, click on devices and then click on configuration profile and then click on create profile. Now, as I've said before, that the scope of this video is Windows, but the fact is that you can have device configuration policies created for all the other platforms as well. So I'm going to click on Windows 10 and later, and then as you can see, there are multiple profiles which can be created. Now, practically, it's not possible to cover each one of them, but I will be targeting most of them, which is feasible to achieve with the help of a lab. Okay. So since the scope of this video is admin templates, I'm clicking on the admin template option itself, and then I'll click on create. Now here we can type any name. Let's say I'm just typing a test text over here, and then I'll click on next. Now this is the setting, which I was referring to when it comes to group policy object settings. But the fact is that the list is not that big, or all the options that you get here, they are not identical with the scope that we usually get with a group policy object, right? And as you can see that we can have admin templates defined for both the computer object as well as the user object itself. So just to showcase an example, let's say if I click on Windows components, and then let's say if I click on Internet Explorer, and then if I click on Internet Control Panel setting, and then I'll click on Security page, as you can see, I am getting trusted site zone listed. So all the relative configuration which used to be available with the GPU itself, they will get listed over here. Okay, but again, this is something which is getting matured, and you may end up having some settings, let's say, which exist for a GPU and they may not be available over here. Okay, so once you have selected a specific setting altogether, let's say I have configured a setting which says that you have to add settings for sites with intrusive ads, and then I'll click on enable, and let's say I click on OK. That's it. All you have to do is you have to enable all these settings which fall under your scope, then click on next. If you want, you can define a scope tag, click on next. Assign this policy or this profile to some set of users if you have already created, or to devices, or let's say to all users or devices. Now make sure that if you are doing computer configuration, then you are targeting a device group. If you are doing user configuration, then target a user group. That's it. You'll click on next and a policy will be created. Now for this demo, I have already created a policy, and that's moreover getting some links deployed to the intranet side and the local intranet zone of a box or of a machine altogether. So if I'll talk about the settings, what I have done, I have added login.microsoftonline.com and portal.office.com and my ADFS link in the Internet Explorer, local intranet, and the trusted site zone. Okay, so if I talk about the security page configuration itself, and then if I'll scroll down, as you can see, this particular option is configured for me, which says site to zone assignment. And as you can see, I have configured these four links. So the value 1 indicates that this particular value should get listed in the local intranet zone, whereas value 2 over here indicates that this value should reach the trusted site zone. Okay, this is just an example. You can configure whatever is available over here. It all depends what kind of configuration you want to do. And this particular profile or this particular policy that I have created is as of now added to all the devices. Okay, so now I'm going to switch to my device, which is onboarded to Intune and which has scoped to this policy altogether. Or as you can see that since this profile is a scope to all the devices, any device which gets onboarded to Intune will receive this policy. Okay, so this is my device wherein I have signed in with one of my user, and this machine is Azure AD joined and as well as onboarded for Intune, right? So that it should get all the configuration policy, all the compliance policy and everything. Okay, so now I'm going to open Internet Explorer setting and I will see whether the respective settings are deployed or not. And as you can see, these three links which were getting listed in my policy, they are getting listed here as well. Okay, so if I'll show you the setting which I have deployed, it was site to zone assignment, and there were a couple of links. I'll show it again just to verify the right set of information is reaching my device. Security page, site to zone assignment, and as you can see, there are three links which should reach the local intranet zone, and that's exactly happening over here. If I'll click on close and if I'll click on cancel, I'll click on trusted site, there will be one link which is portal.office.com, and this is what is listed over on the portal itself. Okay, so I'll close this one now and I'll come back to my client. So this is the case wherein everything is working, right? But let's say some of the policies are not working, okay? Or if you are applying some settings that are not getting reflected on the device, then in that case, what should be your next step? Okay, the first step that you can do is just go ahead and check whether the respective policy is applied to the user or device or not. Okay, so let's say here I'm going to type the name of the user with which I'm signed in on a specific device to verify whether the respective configuration policy is applied or not. And as you can see that the configuration policy that we have created is for some reason not getting listed over here. Now the reason behind that is that we are actually checking the configuration policy that's scoped for a specific user. But the policy that we have created, it's a device policy, right? I have scoped it for device object. Okay, so in this case, what you can do is you can just click on this policy or this profile itself that you have created and then click on device state. So as you can see, there is a machine named as GPO test wherein this particular user has logged in, and as you can see, I'm getting the last sync time as well. Okay, if you want, you can go ahead and check the rest of the configuration, which is moreover related to this device itself. Okay, so step number one, if you're troubleshooting a user, then you can go ahead and check that particular user from here. You can scope any of the configuration which you want to verify. But if you just want to see the configuration profile state, just click on this option of configuration profile, go to the respective profile that you have created, and then click on either user status or let's say device status, whatever you want to check. Okay, now this is something which you can do from portal, but when it comes to device, there is a specific folder which you can access in the event viewer, and I'll tell you a range based on my experience, based on the analysis that I have done. I came across a common range wherein it shows you the policies which are applied to a specific device and what are the respective results. Okay, so I'm not sure, being honest, I'm not giving you a proper statement that this is something which you should check, but based on the most of the configuration that I have checked, be it different type of configuration, be it for IE or office devices, anything, this is a common range which I came across. Okay, now in order to check the logs, you have to go to application and service logs, then go to Microsoft, then go to Windows, and here go to the same folder, which is a common one for troubleshooting when it comes to MDM issues, which is Device Management Enterprise Diagnostics Provider, and then click on Admin. And then just go ahead and search for event IDs between 800 to 850. Okay, to be very precise, the one which shows the configuration is 814, but I'll show you the bigger picture. So for that, 800 to 850, and then I'll click on OK. Okay, now I'll go to the one which says 814 because this is something which I have checked. So as you can see that this policy is actually pushing the edge setting. Okay, so apart from deploying the IE settings, that means adding some of the links either in the local intranet or in the trusted site zone, there is one more configuration that I have added, which is moreover related to the edge setting itself. Okay, you see this, enable saving password to the password manager has set to disabled. So that means there is a setting which is done for edge, and that's exactly what reaching over here. As you can see, it is showing that password manager is the kind of field that has to be enabled or disabled depending upon the setting that I have done. Okay, so I'll click on close and let me just narrow it down for going to the appropriate events itself. So now I'll say 814 and I'll click on OK. Okay, I'll click on the first one. It is more related to boot performance. I'll increase the size. I'll see the next one, and then you see here that these are the links which are reaching to a specific zone. The one which we see right now is moreover related to, as you can see, IE zone map prompt itself, and it is saying allow site to zone assignment, and these are the two links which has reached. Now if I'll check the other one, it has the rest of the information. Okay, so these are some of the methods which you can go ahead and follow depending upon the troubleshooting that you are doing. But in a nutshell, try to apply a filter between 800 to 814 because this is the range wherein you'll get all the messages in terms of the interaction which is happening between the Intune client sitting on the box and the Intune service itself. Okay, so if I'll click on OK, once again, you see I'm getting a large amount of data wherein I'm getting what messages were exchanged, where there were errors, which policy is not applied. This 814 is the example relative to the use case which we are covering. Okay. Now, the last thing which is left is the group policy analytics part itself. So for that, I'm going to switch to my DC. And as you can see that there are multiple group policy objects which exist on this particular DC itself. So let's say I want to analyze that how many settings that exist in this group policy object can be deployed through admin templates on Endpoint Manager portal. Okay. So for that, I'm just going to right click and then click on Save Report. And now I'm going to select the XML option over here. I'm going to choose a specific location. Now, once this export has been saved, now what you have to do is you have to upload this file, which is device enrollment in my case, the XML document, to the portal itself. And where you have to upload, for that, go to Devices and then go to this option which says Group Policy Analytics. Okay, and from here you have to import that particular file. So for this demo, I have already uploaded one of the dump of my group policy objects. And if I'll click on this particular option, which says MDM support, you can see how many settings that exist in the group policy object can be deployed from MDM. Okay, so the first thing that you see here is ADMX support, which is moreover related to CSP, and the other one that you see here is moreover related to the admin templates setting itself. Okay, so this was all about knowing how admin templates work, from where you can go ahead and create new configuration profiles. Make sure you select the option of admin templates, choose the right Windows version, which in our case was Windows 10, and then you can go ahead and check what configuration policies are applied, which are scoped at the user level itself. And then if you want to go ahead and check the configuration profiles that are scoped for devices, these are the different settings which you can go ahead and check based on your requirement. So that's all about knowing how admin templates work. So let's talk about a quick summary of what all we have discussed in this video. We discussed about device configuration policies. We discussed about device profiles, admin templates, how you should analyze the difference, or how you should map the settings which are currently deployed through GPU and that can be deployed through MDM. In the next video, we are going to talk about custom configuration policies. So if you think that this channel is helping you to learn anything new, please feel free to subscribe and share this video with your technical community. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.